Whenever we reenacted the previous episode of combat, he brought his stockpile to his front yard. We would select our weapons of choice. Then we would go through the whole battle, just as we had seen it on TV. One night, Mark wanted to be the colonel. Todd was captain. Mark was usually the sergeant. I was either a private or a corporal at best, when they let me play at all. But that night, Mark wanted to be the colonel. Mike explained all the reasons why Mark couldn't be the colonel. He owned the uniform. It wouldn't fit him anyway. He owned all the guns. He was a natural leader of men. Mark said it wasn't fair. Mike called Mark a faggot and punched him in the stomach real hard. Mark crumpled to the ground crying. I could see the tears roll down his face. I had never seen Mark cry before. He was tough. He would have made a good colonel. We didn't have the battle that night. As I walked home, I knew I had seen war. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you guys very much. I am in the process of, give me a second. I'm in the process of trying to get Carol Weston into the group again. And it looks like we're being joined by some more friends, which is always exciting. I'm just writing Erik Tate's name down. Very exciting. And now up next, we have one of the last, and maybe perhaps one of the, probably among the last live feature poets we had for 2020, which is an amazing thing to think about. I hope we can be live again soon, but I don't see myself comfortable starting anytime soon. But I was glad if we're going to have some live performances this year. This person was one of them. He was not only had his first full-length feature with Stone Soup early this winter, but he also released a collection of poems, which I think is still available. Let's welcome up Mr. John Lane.
Hey.
Oops. Give me one sec, John.
Thank you.
There we go. Oh, whoops. Sorry, something happened with the, there we go. You're all set now.
Hey, I'm going to read something that didn't make the chapbook, but came from the same time period. It's called The Limits of Technology. Running my tongue over the grated screen of this speaker, of this decades-old boombox, daring the cut, begging the edge, the taste of that music then. I can still smell the neck of the girl I held when this was my full sound system. I think of how you smell when you climb into me, holding close on an urban train. Plugged in, not radio, but time machine, yet a broken one. It's not your fault. Perhaps I was happier then.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And Carol Weston will be with us, and she will be joining us, let's say, right about, let me merge the call. For those of you who don't know, Carol Weston has been, she's recovering from an injury, and she has not been able to leave the hospital area yet, but she has been able to call into us, and she has been able to not only enjoy poetry, but read her own poetry as well. I'm going to take a moment and see if, Carol, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Excellent. Hi, Carol. We'll get you on the open mic, and we'll hear from you soon.
Hello.
Hello, Carol.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow.
So this is exciting. We are ready to go, and I'm just going to make sure that everyone knows that it's her.
Oh,
Without further ado, let's keep moving down the list, everyone. I thank everyone for their patience tonight. I'm juggling a few balls now, but everyone's going to get a turn. Let's welcome up next another one of our stalwart regulars since the Stone Soup has switched its venue to Zoom. Let's welcome up Mr. David Miller.
Oh, great. Hi.
Oh, great.
Hi, everybody. All right.
Wait 1 second. Just got to, for some reason, my mute button was having an issue, and I don't know why, but we'll fix this right now. Okay, we're good.
All right, great. This one's pretty short. It's called Foolish Skin. I now require myself to imagine this. New cleansed laundry, each naive sock and t-shirt may be freshly corrupted as my hands empty the machine. My hands have touched ambushing things. So many objects whisper, "Give me skin." My hands wave in naked ether, innocent in one room, pestilential in the next. Thanks.
I like that.
So erotic, David. So erotic. You are.
Thank you.
I love it.
oh.
All right. Thank you very much, David. We're going to bring up the next person on the open mic. And if you go on my YouTube channel, you can actually look me up on YouTube. The open mic last week is on there, nearly full, nearly the whole full show. And I can't even begin to describe exactly what this person did, but let's just say no one uses a backdrop quite like this man in a Zoom call. Let's welcome up Mr. Bill Lewis.
Oh, Lordy. Chad, my friend, the things you say, heavens to Murgatroyd. As many of you know, I have spent a good deal of my time marching around, carrying signs, chanting in the streets ever since Occupy Boston. I have been literally at thousands of demonstrations doing all sorts of things. And much as I love and respect my peers, sometimes I really worry that they're a little bit on the hypocritical side. They're not. Anyway, and so that was my thought when I got into this. The Chinese character for opportunity is made up of those for crisis and danger. That's not actually technically true, but JFK said it once, and it sounds so good that we repeat it. Even in China, they repeat it, and not saying it would be stranger. It's true, of course, that the Chinese symbol, it's true, of course, not the Chinese symbol thing, but the connection between crisis and opportunity. You know for certain that some people will thrive while others will perish. Evolve or die. Folks love to cry. I've been on so many marches, followed so many leaders. I've chanted with the best. We've tromped so far and held our sign, then yelled without a rest. And again, another time we marched and sang our songs and chanted our chants. So strong we were, so loud, the ringing of our cry against the city wall could be heard for miles around. Evolve or die. Corona reminds us, evolve or die. How are you defining your moment? Will you emerge stronger with new skills, new abilities, new friends? Or will you sit and go back to normal? Money! Sure, the love of it is the root of all evil, but if you don't have enough of it, Daddy is not going to come down from the sky to save you this time. Build your talents, make real profits, live your life. Corona is your opportunity. It is your crisis. It is your moment to fly, live, or die.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
Woo.
Bill. All right, we're going to mute all again. And we're going to introduce the next person up on the open mic roster. Let's welcome up the Cambridge Poet Populate Emeritus, author of the Chapbook Collection 22 again, and possessor of many more accolades that I have the ability to name now at this late hour, even though it's totally sunny out. Let's welcome up Tony B.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having the forum. Oh, Honorable Chad Parento. Happy birthday, my 50-year-old friend. I'm sorry, I just revealed your age.
I'm not as old
All
as
right, old man.
yet.
Yeah. In my age, I do feel like a fly girl. So this is what the poem is called. I wrote it in winter 2019 for Bring Us Your Women, a show with Catherine Capozzi. Fly girl, creative light dark of womb. Be woman, woman be, Nayuki woman, let me be free. Protect me. Flirt, sweet, worth the work. Thick, slim, maybe both. Mixed blood or full, I'm dope. I can cope with anything. Am from land. My genes spread among bands, and many sands ago, she gave birth to all who have and do and breathe, who know. You fly, girl. Be woman. Woman be Nayuki woman. Protect me. I be light womb, creative dark, be voice expanding, bringer of color, chanting clouds, water maker, lover, killer, sexy tail shaker, strength, such strength. Be scared of my royal jelly art dream. Dark created womb of light, be woman. Woman be, Nayuki woman, protect me. I be so soft, gentle, fierce, forth bringer, bringing forth love. Fly, protect, fly girl. Nayuki woman, I be, protect me. That's my poem.
Lovely. Lovely.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Tony.
you. Thank you, Chad. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Tony. We are, my birthday was last year. Damn it. Can't be now. Anyway, let's bring up next to the open mic someone who is used to visit us a lot, then had to leave a different geological location. And now he is back with us from said location. It's great to have him remotely call in for his poetry. He's been doing a really great job on here. Let's welcome up Erik Tate.
Hi, Chad. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
This one was written for my girlfriend, Crystal. On our safe space. Out in the world, we contend together against hospital stays, electricity payments, mom's declining health, and the coronavirus pandemic, to name just a few of the stressors we face on a daily basis. But within these walls, within this bed, where we sleep on satin sheets, cuddle under blankets and homemade quilt, I feel the warmth of your body, a human hibachi, as I hug you close, and you sleep with your face nestled in my chest. And I know none of these problems matter or even exist when our bodies are mingled together. In a moment you wake, raise your face up to mine sleepily, and I kiss your forehead protectively with every intention of building you up, come what may.
Damn, Erik.
Nice.
Damn.
Oh,
You should have seen my face.
I was wondering if she was going to make a cameo in your phone cam, Erik Tate. Thank you so
I'm
much.
a writer as well, so you should have seen my face after.
You should join us sometime.
Oh, absolutely, I plan to.
We'll hold you to that.
Absolutely.
Now, up next, I have the lady, the myth, the legend. She is going to be, give me 1 second. She is going to be doing her reading from her undisclosed location in a bed, but she still can outperform all of us just lying down, and I respect her for that incredibly. Let's welcome up the Venerable Carol Weston. Western?
Wow.
Weston. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was reading my poem to myself, and it says, the last line is, wind blows. It is the call to where I must go. And you know what I did? The 13th of April, I went out because of the wind, against the wish of my husband, and I have to because he always objects. And my Lord, I got blown down, and I'm still down. So anyway, so that line brings me to where I am in the rehab. Okay. Now, this poem is called The House. Where I am going is a house that rings true in the wind, blows through like a perpetual bell. It shall be composed of miracle, no eye can see, but that acutest to magic, and no foot fall upon, but that its eye be a light to fires far distant. The wonder of the world reaches deep, and its nice comes after me. Wind blows, it is the call to where I must go. God bless you all. Bye.
Woo! Woo-hoo! Hey!
Thank you.
Hey,
Amazing job, Carol. Thank you again very much. And let me mute everyone back on. That went by so fast. It was wonderful. If people want to participate in the third round robin, that'll be great. But there's 2 more people left to this round. I only participate in usually 1 poem in this round robin series, but for good practice, I want to read the Stone Soup Crouton poem that was from last week. For those who don't know, the Stone Soup Crouton poem is a poem I read. I write of lines and impressions from the open mic. Sometimes I'll steal just a word. Sometimes I'll grab an idea and go the exact opposite of it. These aren't necessarily cover poems, but or pastiches, but the open mic definitely does feed this process. Give me 1 second. I'm bringing up my page. There we go. Okay. And this one, of course, was updated. Was written on Friday morning. This is called The Non-Survival Artist. We put habit in our new habitats, make our morning calls to Big Brother. Why can't he start his own live stream just to calm us down? Inside, one painter keeps painting, plans his death to coincide with trash day. His constant mantra, there is no artist. For creation to live, the maker has to die. Better off to remember the statues of naked angels in the square than to ponder the sculptor who groped them. The children already scarred without knowing the seedy facts of how their clay bowls were made. Fallen angels would agree. Better to rule obscurity than serve history. Let guerrilla theater be taken over by guerrillas. The better to empty the seats as fast as they are filled. 2020 ticks away. Nobody expert enough to disarm it. The painter is ready to take all his hung easels, tie them together into a one-way raft, embark on his suicide family cruise, get on the only right path. Before God turns into the bratty child and back, the painter stares down the ocean like space, counting starfish. He pretends the growing leaks on his boat are fountains stolen from the park. Soon there will be nothing left of him to come between his parents. Watch him reverse transubstantiation, turn his blood into water, empty out, open his heart to feed an honest shark.
Mhm.
Hey, yeah,
Thank you.
Very good.
yeah.
And next on the open mic, I thought I had written him down before, but I had written Erik Tate down, and unfortunately I confused two Erics with a K. So I almost missed you, Erik, and I would hate for that to ever happen. Let's welcome up Mr. Erik.
Erik
Let
Nelson.
me mute all now and welcome up Erik Nelson.
Okay, I think this one was inspired by having writer's block. And it was a long time ago, and some of the stuff I still get writer's block sometimes. So, is it true that truth is stranger than fiction? After all, it is easy to imagine things that are impossible. But the truth of the matter is that truth is more complex than fiction. A work of fiction has as much as a person can write in however many pages they've got. Reality has infinitely many more things in it than that. There is no such thing as telling the whole truth. If the truth is a rich, thick soup, then any report of the truth is what you would get if you dipped a string in the soup and let it dry. If the truth is the sea, any eyewitness report of the truth is like dredging up a lot of dead fish and kelp. Why am I writing this? It's sort of like saying, speak memory, or hero muse, or whatever way of translating the first line of the Odyssey you prefer. If the muse isn't hearing, if memory isn't speaking quite yet, like a clogged fountain pen or a ketchup bottle. I once went to a show in a sort of conceptual art style where there was a guy who was getting dressed, but he wasn't really. He was going through the motions of getting ready to get dressed in every combination without making progress, but always looking like he was getting on with it. So, get on with it already, I hear you say. Begin at the beginning. But I say, there is no beginning. No place that is the right place to start. Well, start somewhere, you say. Anywhere. Just get on with it.
Yeah,
Wow.
let's get on with it.
Like that. That's awesome.
Get on with it. Sorry. I'm a Monty Python Holy Grail fan. Anyway, thank you very much, Erik. And we're going to close this first round of the round robin. Is that the correct way to say it? I'm saying it anyway. With our penultimate closer for this round. Let's welcome up the columnist for It's All One Thing for Oddball Magazine. And his column, It's All One Thing, appears every Thursday morning without fail at 11 a.m. And he's been a part of so many Stone Soup events, I can't even count them. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy. 1 second. Here we go. Whoops. What happened? There we go.
You got me? Hello. So I wanted to tell folks here, this is a poem that I wrote years ago. It's probably 35 years old, called Hippies. And, but I keep updating it. And I haven't read it for a long time. And I thought I would read this poem because I in many ways, the big sort of fork in the road that led us to this crisis, I believe, came out of the turmoil of the late 60s and the early 70s. And this poem called Hippies is sort of about that period of time. I've had to listen to people beating up on hippies for the last 45 years. I remember once back in the mid-70s, I had to meet my ex-wife at the bank in downtown Crossing, which was just Washington Street then. I'd just gotten off one of the many night shifts I worked over the years. And with that horrible empty belly staying up all night gives you, I bought the only takeout food available, a carefully considered fish sandwich from McDonald's. As I squatted by the bank's revolving door, caught like a vampire who stayed out way too early, as the sun came up over the glass fungi of the big buildings to catch me in its glare, a pack of young suburban kids came by and one of them commented on my ponytail, "There's a hippie and he's eating a McDonald's." Caught and then caught again. That's how simple it all was then. But then, the complexity of it all was always the most wonderful thing, even as almost everyone seemed dedicated, both without then within, to reducing the movement to its lowest common denominators, its cultural or political wings. I was just glad that for once I finally got to hear all the things I never thought I would hear. I knew most of the people who suddenly turned up at parties wearing beads and headbands. Their hair wasn't really long enough to warrant, wouldn't be there when we really needed them. I knew the belly of the beast was a much too vast and empty space to change its Leviathan nature any time too soon, as if we could ever really escape the monster, but only like Jonah, still seething in our own rebellion, contemplate our own navels in the belly of the whales. Damned if we did, damned if we didn't. Damn it all to hell if we didn't know something. There was a monster on the loose with our heads in a noose. They did have the guns, but we had the numbers. It was the vision thing, man. Radical comes from root, and there was something much older than consumer commercial co-option causing a bad case of heartburn in the belly of the principal imperialist power. I've never forgotten what a wonderful time to be alive, and much more alive then when we were all either a bunch of spoiled Ivy League ingrates or working class dropout loafers, bums or dilettantes, slumming or floor flushers. Some of us were, of course, but at least we weren't cold-blooded, mercenary, mental midgets, taking the future of the next 7 generations on troughs from people who couldn't see past yesterday's bottom line or the niceties of tomorrow's real politic. I always remember those years and remember my young manhood as waves of ecological, spiritual, political, feminist revelation, the whole bottom of the cultural bag falling out and in shreds in its contents, ever so much more than the empty form that held it. And within its constraining bondage, it spit out on the shore the only answer to its own dilemma, a counterculture beyond its discontents. And I remember and always remember sitting on the hills of Southwest PA, far, ever so far from any centers of prestige or privilege, looking down on the old Monongahela River, etching its oxbow way from the coal fields of West Virginia to the steel mills below, where hunky steel workers and black lung miners sent their sons and daughters to the old normal school. And I could feel it, tumblers turning and vault lock, like that moment the baton is passed, or children's play comes together in fantastic denouement. Something happening, something happened, something changed, would never ever be the same, as if those ancient hills, so long wearing away, had finally struck beach bottom and began to grow again, and the brown out river had broken through to clear, cool spring, and now, and clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember that beginning line. There's a hippie and he's eating a McDonald's.
Thank you.
Love that.
Oh.
All right, those hippies.
Thank you very much, James. We're going to start the round robin, the second part of the round robin. So everyone get ready and remember your places from before. Let me mute everyone again, and we're going to go right back to the beginning with Patricia Carragon. Are you ready?
Yeah. For my manuscript for my music inspired poems called Stranger on the Shore, I'm going to read Misty. From her perch above the human drama, Misty, the cream-colored cat, washed her paws clean. She knew her way around her master's apartment. Her kitten days faded like the album cover by the turntable. Ella Fitzgerald sang the cat's namesake song, Seduction, for her master's friend, still irritable on the chaise lounge. Whenever mad, she'd kick off her pumps. Her right foot would cross her left. After another glass of Chardonnay, she asked about his 1,000 violins and why his hello no longer sounded sweet. He poured himself another glass of wine, lost in words that lost their meaning. She took her hat and gloves, said a swift goodbye. The cat ran to the closed door, encircled her master's legs, his eyes too misty to notice. Thank you.
Aw, lovely. Very lovely.
Thank you very much, Patricia. And we're going to bring ourselves now to second person in line. Let me just find his icon, and we have him right here, Mr. Ed Gault. You ready, sir?
Good. Here's another childhood poem called Jump Rope. The idea of the game was to jump the rope as it came to you. A large group of kids, practically the whole class, stood in a circle as someone in the middle began to swing the rope around. When the rope came to you, then you jumped. The effect was this wave that went around the circle. It was fun. We had been at it for 2 days, getting it down, getting it just right, making it even more fun. A lot of kids wanted to be the one in the middle, twirling the rope around. Everyone had to wait their turn. Mine came on the second day. I had just completed the third round when the whistle blew. The teachers had seen enough of the fun. When I approached Mrs. Hahn, who was 300 years old at least, and some of the kids swore she had played a role in the founding of Overland Park, she accused me of disrupting the game of jumping rope. All the kids wanted to play, and she didn't think my coming with my hands raised was particularly funny. She made me stand on the yellow line for the duration of the recess while the other kids jumped rope. There you have it. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just a remarkable.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aw.
Thank you so much, Ed. And we're going to mute all again to introduce the next person on the open mic. And that would be Mr. John Lane. John Lane is up now. John Lane is back again.
Okay, I am mic'd again. I wrote this a couple weeks ago, and I was standing on the front portico of St. Paul's Cathedral, and I didn't write all of it there, but I got the idea for it, and then pretty much ran inside and wrote it down within about 10 minutes. So this is called Uncommon and subtitled View from the Porch. Collapse on this block of the corner. Revel in ice creams given only when a solenoid breaks. See the shadows of the no longer here. Look, see the missing carts, a park given over. A damp cocktail still life, the bench-to-bench shuffle. A porch wet in worship, though some throwing mostly thorns. We must dirty up this joint. Women whom failure seems the option, and these men could use a shave. We stand in for the missing thousands, stand on watch to witness our neighborhood as it becomes the streets where the homeowners neglect the abandoned on their front lawns.
Very good, John. Great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, John. We're going to bring it back, bring it now over to next person on the list, which is Mr. David Miller.
Okay. Thanks again. All right. The last sound you hear. Police siren through a siphon. Double-pitched air brakes. Metal, keychain, dog tags. A laugh's bubble envelope. You lay on your back and the air of browning onions watered your tongue. You wanted to rise again. Let them bring it to you. Stutter bicycle wheel. Furnace's bass whisper. Cicada's searchlight rasp. Corrugated cough. Beware, you are slipping from your sack. Your skin brushes the sheet. Hair fringes at the nape. Your sinking spine, mattress cradled. Do not long for this again. The vacancy after a motor. The perking doorbell. Flat dropped footsteps. Eardrum's private mosquito. The more slowly you looked, the more bees were in the clover. A fly arrived to rest at your page. Please do not hold memory past its time. Raindrop commas. Tan rustle of held tissues. Your name in their mouths. Thanks.
That was awesome.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Wonderful to hear you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you guys very much. Muting everyone again to keep the list going. And our person's next person.
Uh-oh.
The next person is Bill Lewis.
So I was in New York City for the Left Forum. I often go to this and we talk about political left things. And then I'm wandering through the glories of New York, which is a little bit overwhelming to me. And I'm the guy going like, whoa, look at that building up there. Holy shit. But you know, it's New York at the same time, and all the excitement of New York and you know, Broadway and all of that. And I got excited in my last day, and I was just walking alone. I just couldn't help myself. And I'm going, God, I am in New York, the center of, you know, New York. You know, and when you're blue and you don't know what to do, why don't you go where fashion sits? Putting on the Ritz. Different types of wear-a-day coat, pants are striped and cutaway coats, perfect fits. Putting on the Ritz, dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper. Super duper! Come, let's mix for Rockefellers, walk with sticks and umbrellas in their mitts. Putting on the Ritz, different types of wear-a-day coat, pants are striped and cutaway coats, perfect fits. Putting on the Ritz, putting on the Ritz, putting on the Ritz.
Well done. Well done.
I'm fading.
Well done.
Nice.
Fading.
I can't stand 42nd Street. I hate that area. I moved away.
It's exciting though. It's New York. It's just like I could never live there, but it's so exciting to be there for a weekend.
Okay. Well, rein in the war on New York, and you're up against a New Yorker, Patricia. So maybe you're up against a New Yorker, Bill. So I don't know if she has the home advantage as far as opinion, maybe. But anyway, let's welcome up next to the open mic. And we lost her for a second, but I'm glad we have her back. Let's welcome up Miss Tony B.
Hi, sorry.
Nothing to be sorry for.
My phone totally shut off. So I was watching the news probably a few weeks ago, and I think the poem starts. The explanation is cancel culture. I'm writing this because a dude threw the cat off his laptop, and it went ump. So the cat got a little hurt, and then dude quit his job the next day because there was an internet outcry. When I grow up, Chad, you'll understand this. When I grow up, I want to be a cat, to be petted and fed and to be billless. Let me be a cat who meows loud on my front lawn and call it pining poetry. I know someone will praise me and I shall go viral. I will be on Ellen, Wendy, and this time the cops shall not come by 3 times and tell us to quiet down. Cats do not own speakers nor talk back. A cat costume I shall bust next time I do poetry in my yard. And when the police beckon me, I shall just purr. Come on, alley cats surrounding me. Let's all just purr, poets. Alley cats, though, I'm assuming those are cats that got tossed from the alley, hunt down or tossed on green lawns. Cats on green lawns, they don't come to shut down your sweet crying words. The internet defends the cat, but not the human. People are way more work than cats. Lions hail from Haitian alleys, been hanging on the edge of the fence. Creole purrs from said corner. Neighbors jowls, cause their whiskers shrivel, reddened from the sun. Can't deal in sun sound acts. Hard to hear it. Who gets canceled for being stranded on the sea? Who's responsible for tigers not having claws in the verdant, dark forest? Yeah, that's what I came up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.
Did somebody meow? Yeah.
We're going to go to the next person on the open mic, and that would be Mr. Erik Tate.
Okay, this one is about Donald Trump versus the coronavirus. And I used the characters from a Rocky movie, Apollo Creed versus Ivan Drago. I call this one the Master of Disaster. President Trump was Apollo Creed, sauntering around the Oval Office with his chest puffed out, playing to his audience as the pandemic began. He liked to drape himself in the American flag for effect. By all accounts, he didn't get the memo concerning the severity of the virus that could very well be his Ivan Drago. He's ill prepared for this fight. He's underestimated the virus. After weeks of denial, inaction, and downplaying the threat, platitudes and photo ops won't be enough to make this go away. Declaring victory before the opening bell, he's since seen what a punch the coronavirus can pack. And maybe it's too late for him, maybe it's not, but he knows now it'll take some fancy footwork to prevent his re-election bid from ending up face down on the canvas.
Whoa.
We are ready.
Nice.
We are ready to go with our sick but not down, broken but not bent poet and from Parts Unknown, who's joining us by phone solely. And I'm going to unmute her now, and she's going to have her turn again. Let's bring out again the undefeatable Carol Weston.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid since I have one poem, I'm going to do it again. The house.
Okay.
Where I am going is a house that rings true, and the wind blows through like a perpetual bell. It shall be by no eye can see, but that it is acute to magic. But no foot can fall upon, but that its eye be a light to fires far distant. The wonders of the world reaches deep, and its knife comes after me. Wind blows, it is the call to where I must go.
Encore.
Thank you, Carol.
Encore.
Thank you, Carol. It's great to have you join us where you can. We are moving on to the next couple of people. I'm trying to see where we are. Yes, we'll go to Mr. Erik Nelson. Then we have actually a newcomer who will read a couple of poems for us. Let's bring up now, for the moment, Mr. Erik Nelson.
Okay, so a long time ago in the news, I saw it on TV. As I recall, it was at work in the overhead TV monitors with the sound turned off. What happened was somebody stole a truck full of lumber somewhere in Texas and went away with it and led the police on a high-speed chase and eventually was arrested, but not before some lumber fell out, was dragging out from the back of his trailer and rubbing against the road and catching fire from the friction, and several of his tires went flat and the metal wheels were sparking on the road, and eventually they arrested him. But what was he thinking until that moment? How did he think it was going to end? Runaway truck, tires on fire. Get out of my way on the highway. School buses pull over. My cargo of lumber starts to smolder. It's not only a matter of time till they stop me. Tires on fire, smoldering lumber on the miles of Texas roadway. I'm my own man as long as I can last, as long as I go fast.
Woo!
Thank you, Erik.
Sweet, good job.
We're on the second round of the round robin, but we've had two people join us a little late, but that's great because we'll get them in there. I want to start first off with a Pat Stone Soup feature we haven't seen for a while, but I did post one of his videos onto YouTube from a feature he did back all the way in 2017. Even then, it was happier times compared to now. Who knew? But let's bring up next Mr. Colin Killick.
Hey, thank you so much, folks. Thank you, Chad. It's great to see some all familiar faces. Yeah, this piece is even older than that, actually. I think I wrote it in 2012, but I actually really wanted to read it this week, and I'm grateful for this opportunity too, because it was inspired by my grandfather, who spent the majority of his life in a small country in Central Africa called Malawi. For those who are unfamiliar, little country that borders an enormous lake, really lovely, unfortunately really poor. And he died this past Monday at the age of 91. And I am really going to miss him, so I thought I would read it in his honor. So it's just called Malawi. Malawi, how much can I love you? I do not mean it in the hallmark way, the how can I express this boundless caring pablum. No, this is the kind that is literally right now keeping me up at night. I mean, how much is it okay for me to love you, given who I am and where my roots are planted? Oh, I am no one very important. Just one more white boy looking in from the outside at your struggle, who is not living your daily pain, your crop failure, currency spiral, 12% HIV, everyday existence. I am really just a slightly more familiar sort of stranger. My father was born November 1954 in Chihuahua, on the little demonstration farm where my grandparents fled. Unemployed 21-year-olds sent to hand out fertilizer and teach people to use tractors in the Crown Protectorate of Nyasaland. My grandfather calls it the bad old days, since he hated the bastards he worked with, prep school boys, come to make their fortunes not like him, not poor Cornish farm boys who grew up planting and picking. He speaks perfect Chichewa. They all had to learn when they went, but I have seen the instruction books. It's all imperative tense. Fetch this, carry that, stop before I shoot. He didn't go for that. He learned it conversational, and 60 years on, he still has Malawians laughing. Because my grandfather speaks perfect Chichewa in the thickest West Country drawl you can imagine. One, Dolly Bueno, and they're rolling on the floor. In the bad old days, he tells me he was reprimanded twice. Once for walking in the villages, sitting down like neighbors with the natives. The other is better. Conduct unbecoming an Englishman for letting black men see him sprint shirtless across the officer's golf course, swinging his one bent club. And I tell these stories so that I can tell myself that he was okay, that he was one of the good ones, a harmless exception to the generations of white men who have come to your borders plundering, that surely there was nothing wrong with a little pride in you on my part. In 1972, my father left to enroll at the University of Cape Town. You do not need to have studied much history to see where this is going. There, he fell in love with archaeology, but I think it's fair to say he at least minored in struggle. At one march, the army turned on them with clubs, drove them screaming in the doors of a national cathedral, thinking surely they'd be left alone in there among the silent saints. But the police just threw in tear gas grenades and shut the doors, and my father fought his way to a window and jumped out it. And I tell these stories so that I can tell myself he was okay, that he was one of the good ones, a harmless exception to the generations of white men who have come to your borders plundering, that surely there was nothing wrong with a little pride in you on my part. And what of me? In college, a friend of a friend, having gotten this whole transcontinental tale secondhand, said, "So, Colin, your dad is black, right?" And I played it off, cracked some dumb joke about my almost scary paleness, when in my head I was taking off every bonus, every opened door, the unearned advantages of that one untruth, because my father's passport is from a country he's only seen as a tourist, that he has scarcely spent more time in than the 5 weeks I have spent in you, land by the lake, place of cedar-ringed mountains and blue water and the best people, who did nothing to deserve the destruction white men dealt, who welcome with an instant warmth so genuine I feel ashamed. Malawi, I have loved you mostly from afar, but I'm coming back soon, and I just want an answer. I will understand if it is none, no, not at all, if I do not have the right, that this was never my country, and the taint of its thievery taints widely and forever, I can offer no defense. Just these stories, so that I can tell myself that I am okay, one of the good ones, a harmless exception to the generations of white men who have come to your borders plundering, that surely, even when it keeps me up at night, there is nothing wrong with a little love for you on my part. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Colin Killick is crazy. Ah!
I'm glad you got
That
on,
was
Colin.
so good.
I'm
Oh
so
my
happy.
God. Good job, Colin. Wow.
Let's see if we can keep this going. One of our other late arrivals is going on now. He's the publisher of Oddball Magazine, the author of the poem column, Jagged Thoughts, and his new book, Train of Thought 2, is going to be coming out sooner or later. Train of Thought 2, Thought Harder, or whatever it is. I'm messing. Let's welcome up Mr. Jason Wright. Oh, what happened? I'm trying to unmute you, but for some reason I can't. There we go.
Now I'm unmuted. Okay. Yeah, the book is Train of Thought, Almost Home, or something like that. I'm working on it right now. But this poem I wrote recently, so let's see if I can find it. It was just right here, just a second ago. But this is the one of the most recent poems from the book Train of Thought. It's a short poem, but it's called "She Just Got on the Train," and this is from my upcoming book. She just got on the train. She just got on the train. She just left my brain. She walks towards me. She walks away from me. She sings songs in a different city. Under smoky lights, and I'm alone and don't feel right. She's stressed for a living. I stare at a book with stupid drawings. Man, I wish I was Henry Rollins. Maybe Leonard Cohen. Maybe. Maybe I wish I was smoking re-smoke in the ocean. I wish I existed on your list, but I only exist on mine. I'm dead. I wish the sky would light up with fireworks. I wish it was a constellation of celestially speaking, give me a reason to keep on breathing. Seeing demons in my dreams, speaking in my ears, wasting away with fears, downing beers, drinking tears like the salt of the sea. I'm only alive on paper. Once the pen ink dries out, I die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jason.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very nice.
And I do see that we have someone else who joined us, and I don't know if she's here as an observer or not. ES, are you? Would you want to share something? You know, something you wrote 5 minutes ago and are going to downplay like hell, but it's going to be one of the best things on the mic.
I've got a poem I wrote like a week ago. Let me see if I can find it.
Sounds good.
Oh, I just had it here. Sorry. Maybe not.
You need another minute?
No, I found it.
Okay, good.
Okay. Hold on.
There we go.
So this is, I'm pretty sure it's Friday. I don't have a poem to read. My muse is in self-isolation, meditating on one of the recent abundances of nothingness. And how if I turn my attention away from one of these moments falsely advertised as free, the garden rots, the transit system floods, the pot boils over and over and over again. Running in a circle, even if it is more constrained, is still just doing the rounds. Like dizzy clock hands, it is so easy to read, to keep spitting, illiterately telling time by rote but persistent movement.
Nice. Nice.
Told ya. Jamelia, I'm going to assume you still want to sit out. I did want to give you the offer. Okay. By the way, Jamelia, is your chapbook still out there? Is it still for sale?
Not right now because the site is revamping.
Oh, okay.
But it will be probably shortly, or I'll probably just move it to a different site.
Fair enough. Well, let me know because I did buy one right before it was taken down.
Oh gosh, then it should be coming because I did so too, and it came in the mail.
Oh, mine came in the mail a while ago. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
All right, we're going to bring it now to yes, for our closer for the round robin, Mr. See, I gotta look over here because if I try and look around, everything moves around like a Rubik's Cube. Let's go now to Mr. James Van. Oh, let me mute all. And now let me go to Mr. James Van Loy.
Thank you, Chad. So I have a piece here called Lockdown City and the Global Village. Global Village, of course, comes from Marshall McLuhan's books and is his way of referring to what has happened because of the electric digital revolution through which we have endured. So this is called Lockdown City and the Global Village. It's the ultimate Lent with Agent Orangehead giving nightly combo survival and apocalyptic prepper for the end of global economy. Starting a fire with sticks, global warming becomes planetary-wide continental interior on fire. This slow torpor bred by isolation, all of our personal contradictions Marxian, personal ticks become great ecosystem hiccups, foaming, stressed out, and reflux contractions in the gut, our second brain, this common body we all share, the one real collective intelligence where the whole tree is dotted with retinal cells and the roots are spread in fungal web, and the tree is all of life connected, intertwined, constant, resonation, every disability a node for organization, each load we carry wings of support, keeping us, saving us, enlarging us to include everything we could possibly need. And let me sing a quick song. Give my regards to Broadway. Remember me to Herald Square. Tell all the boys on 42nd Street that I will soon be there. Whisper of how I'm yearning to mingle with that old time throng. Give my regards to old Broadway and say that I'll be there ere long. Bravo! Bravo!
Yes.
Sing along with you, James. We're singing with you.
Okay, good, Bill.
Yeah, we were. We were singing with you.
We do have someone who's joining us. There might be a lady who's joining us who's never been here before. So, but I do want to keep it going for the person who is here now, who was here at last week's open mic. And we recently released some footage on YouTube, thanks to the help of Bill Perot, who filmed the original footage, and Steve Onderek, who helped me rip the footage from the DVD, and then all I had to do was get it loaded up onto YouTube after I edited the piece. I'm slowly but surely putting up all the clips from Stone Soup Poetry's 40th anniversary / tribute to Jack Powers, who passed away in October of 2010. The first piece I put up was Carol Weston's performance of Peace Fire, as performed by John Voight, and I've also put up a duet with featured primarily an instrumental from Andreas Powers, Jack's son. And I also put up footage from this individual who I'm hoping will have a chance to read with us now. And he was not only the performer for the 40th anniversary, or one of the performers, I believe he was also the performer for 2010's 39th anniversary of Stone Soup. So let's have him come up and read now if he can. Mr.
Okay.
Cece, are you there?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't see
Yeah,
a video, but
I just need a second. I'm trying to open up a file of something I was working on.
Okay.
So, give me. Let's see if it comes up. I got no time to pick one, but I'm gonna fly on the fly. We'll see what's happening here. Hold on.
Not a problem. I do want to thank everyone who's come tonight. And I think we've gotten at least one person, one new person into the fold of the new open mic gathering.
I really appreciated that video. It really just ripped my heart open there. That was I did remember I sat at the piano, and I remember at the last moment I says I'm gonna do this, even though I was like barely, my chops were not warmed up at all to hit. But I pulled it off. I think I was happy. I didn't care. It was for Jack. I don't know if anyone saw it, but I called on the soul of Jack to be there. And I had a song called Ghosts and Angels. And I wove it into just talking to Jack's spirit in the room. It's not opening. Crap. Hold on. Let me try one more time here. Let me try to go right for a folder here.
Okay.
Is there somebody that wants? I just logged in, so is there somebody that wants to go before me, or can you give me a sec?
Well, I can give you a sec. At the same time, I can see if one of the people who are here a little bit later wants to go again a second time. Yes, would you like to go?
Sure. 1 second. If I can find a poem. Give me 1 moment, please.
Okay. ES, for those of you who don't know, has the almost irritating habit of saying they don't have a poem, don't have anything to read, and then they come out and it's one of the best poems on the open mic. Quite amazing like that. But let's see. While Cece's doing that, Colin, would you like the opportunity to read a second time?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, let's do that.
So this is one, for those who I have not met before, which is a few of you, I'm by trade, a disability rights activist. I run an organization called Disability Policy Consortium. And in 2017, I was part of the protests by disabled activists to save Medicaid. And I wrote this following the victory there, and given what's happened to people with disabilities in the current pandemic, it feels relevant. So this is called Saving Medicaid and Ourselves. When it was all over, I thought back to the dance floor. We had spent the day marching and chanting, camped outside the Senate in a pile of wheelchairs and tarps, checking Twitter for our prognosis, likely fatal. But our phones aren't out now. We're all cleaned up. The band is playing, and the fake wood is full of wheelchairs and walkers and people with white canes, and we are goddamn pretty. And we are with our people. And there was no one here to stare at us, to roll us flat into motivational posters, and we are dancing like this floor is Mitch McConnell's face, like there is no tomorrow, so they can't kill us at dawn. And isn't it funny, the way we refute our own fragility, how this is probably against medical advice, how so many of us are objects with warning labels and we are shrugging them off with each stride, how the police weren't worried when they dragged my friends from their wheelchairs. So why stop dancing now? As for me, though, I've always hated dancing. Partly, it's the crush of bodies, panic that rises in my spine with every knock and jostle on the crowded floor, and partly, it's the way I think I look. My brain has never spoken a language that my body understands. Tying shoes and writing words eluded me. Teachers clucked their tongues, issued zeros, told me to try harder. In first grade, I failed Simon Says. No matter how loudly they explained, I could not make my body mimic theirs. So the idea of doing this for fun, of being pleased to be marked against a rhythm, of wanting to be seen in motion made no sense until that night, when no one had to ask to be looked out for, and all of us had bodies we were still struggling to love, and I stopped noticing the beat, or that my feet weren't pointing in the right direction, or that I had a body at all. I was just a cell, for the first time part of something large, unbroken, and just discovering what it could do. It was almost midnight, and the band struck up another classic, and we rose whatever appendages we could, flung out our own defiant rhythm, and screamed into the air, "I will survive! I will survive!" And at 4 a.m., I woke slowly with no alarm, like a voice had gently whispered in my ear. I checked my phone, and somehow we had won. A mind had changed just when we needed it, and for now, we were safe. I do not know if this is a dream or a new universe just born, only that we made it, that it is ours.
Ooh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to hear you.
Thank you, Colin.
Thanks and
Very
good night,
good.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Now,
Oh,
and now we're going to head. Oh, I think David Miller just headed out. But yes, did you want to read one more time?
Okay, that's really hard to follow on. That was great. All right, I guess I'll go with, but still the art. Don't mind me humming my way through an apocalypse to one of the free concerts. Musicians are playing in silence, like sound can cure loneliness. I used to think that the last human sounds on this conflicted, loud planet would be a nuclear blast or someone sobbing. Now I think it would be someone singing, alone under the empty, cleaned cathedral of the sky, crying while they sang, but singing nonetheless.
Love it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ES, as always. Your hooked humility can't fool all of us. It can't fool any of us, really. We're going to go now. We're going to have our penultimate closer right here. I believe CC is ready.
Okay. All right.
Looks like we might have a new closer because looks like Lee Varon is coming on, but we'll say fuck it and let's give you the forum.
Okay. Okay, these are all small, so I'll just run a few and you just say when. This is from my project Done Is Now. It's my newest manuscript project. And I have to say, even though it sounds promotional, I'm going to do this. 20 years ago, the Open Microphone Poems, the 3 books are coming together. It was Scared Sacred, Death of an Ego, and What Manner of Character. They're going to be one book. That's the new cover. And I'll be bringing that love to anyone who will receive it soon. So Done Is Now, number 8. This is a manu in progress. Portals of here happen. There is a problem called survival. Sad when the divine of love is waiting as equal to love in both dimensions. All the possible union of beings being may open. The victory of one wins alive over this closes them all. Perpetual meaningless deaths on a lone world of war survives. Okay, so that was a dark one. Let's lighten it up. Open into the empty. Go through the temptation of fear. Make peace with every warless question. Love touches nothing to hold. Nothing was lost or found missing. Open into the empty home. Free yourself from fear is. Enter through and through every No Thing. No Thing was, I don't know if any of you remember Doc Cody. Doc Cody was a sacred, dear friend of mine, and so he had a doctorate in Latin, and he didn't write much, but his favorite 2 words near the end of his life, before he got Alzheimer's, was those last 2 words in that poem. No Thing. This is number 10. To tell of time when the hands of all clocks fall off and numbers become breaths. And I'll do one more. The gratitude of non-physical love and invisible peace everywhere within you. The form of spirit you are, the manifest. Truth as a realm, fearless of every death. Within the afterlife of living, love dies into love is born. Here, here, where no harm can exist.
Thank you, CC, very much. We have one final closer for the tonight. At least I hope she's going to be the closer because she just came on. She was just an observer and a listener last time. But Lee, are you able to provide us some poems to close us out tonight? Can you hear me, Lee? For some reason, I cannot hear you. Unfortunately, I cannot hear you at all. I have you unmuted, and now you mute yourself again. And now I'm unmuting you now, or trying to.
I saw her talking a minute ago. Oh, now she's unmuted.
Okay, Lee, can you? I think you might have to. I think you might have to try next week, Lee, because I can't hear. Oh. Okay, did that help? All right, try again. No, Lee's trying to say something. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I heard you perfectly last time, and I can't hear a word you're saying. I seriously can't hear a word you're saying. So I'm sorry. We're gonna have to take it to next time. But hopefully we'll see you. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Oh, well, I'll tell you what. It looks like we have someone who's joining on right now. We're getting a lot of last-minute people, but I'm glad of it. Whoop. Let's see. I think Jeffrey Fallon just tried to join, or Jeffrey's girlfriend, Grace. So let me see if they're coming on. Just give everyone a minute. It looks like she's trying to jump on. Someone else is trying to jump on right now. I would suggest, Lee, if you can still hear me, to try and get off and get on again, because last time you were on, it definitely worked. So you might want to hang up and try and get back on again. All right, someone came on and now someone else is coming on. This is kind of funny. It's a never-ending Robin. Let's see. Ah, here we are. Susanna, is it, or is it? I think you have a different name on Facebook. Yes. So is this?
Yeah, I'm Facebook sneaky.
Aha. So is calling you Susanna going to be okay, or should we call you by your?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's just
okay.
Like I don't want to be easily searched because I'm a therapist.
Aha. I gotcha. Well, for those of you still on, this is Susanna, someone who has been who's a friend of ours. Actually, she is very close with our cartoonist Jeffrey Fallon, whose comic, The Secrets of Skinny People, is every Monday morning without fail on oddballmagazine.com. But more specifically to her, since the pandemic has started, she's been posting one video poem, I think one video poem per day at least.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to get her on here for a while, so this is going to be exciting. And you got some time to do a couple. Oh, I hope you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, I have it on Brady Bunch mode, so sometimes the squares just flip off, and all of a sudden I'm looking at someone, then I'm looking at James Madison, which is Bill Lewis's actual secondary persona when he teaches, and it's his still photo now, and suddenly you switch places. But anyway, without any further ado, let's welcome Susanna to our fold, and you can read a couple of poems of your choosing, and you can go.
Okay. So first, I guess I'll just apologize, Chad, if you've seen or heard some of these, but I'm just going to read from the COVID Chronicles, so or the Quarantine Chronicles. This one was from day 41 of Shelter in Place. Dogs and pepper spray biting flesh and eyes of immigrants who rise up. Detainees who have had enough of injustice, and this just is one side of a prism of prison stories, where men have claimed territories in the uninhabitable because it's unimaginable to feel untethered to a land where they plan to have a better life. A wife and child at home, with phone in hand, trying to understand words through screaming, men accused of scheming because humanity is not guaranteed to an immigrant detainee, by Bristol County Sheriff Hodgson. Not in his house of correction. And to lessen the blow, he just goes on to shame brave souls who demand action. That's one way to slow the traction of a movement. It's meant to divide and conquer. We're all familiar with the strategy at this point in our comic tragedy. But we're fighting back with advocacy. Just let us see what happened exactly. We've got the technology and resources, but fear courses through the veins of the guilty when we demand transparency and human decency. And the powerful cry for shame, when we question the rules of the game, expertly crafted by the system built to oppress, and when the vulnerable express another way to allay their own exposure, the conversation is over immediately, and concerns are interpreted as hostility because of simple circumstances. It's just by chance that one man stands in the land of the free and the other stands separately behind 20 feet of fence and wire. But higher walls are not needed. But higher walls are not needed when you're seated at the table of privilege, comes from a lineage of talented con men. See, Hodgson, you're one of them. And gaslighting is the best way of hiding behind the villains you create. So people hate and pour that hate into an inmate, someone they can't relate to. So they listen to you, white, male, powerful. Well, I'm full up on all of that. I'm fattened up on lies. I'm ready to try something new. I'm no longer believing you, collectively speaking, meaning the universal you. You do not look like me or tell my story. You fabricate the narrative, and you don't even speak the native tongue, so bite yours and be done. And just for a second, try to believe not every minority is the enemy, even within the walls of your house. Correction, especially. So that's that one.
Wow. Thank you.
Not the best.
There's Lee.
Oh, you did great. I unmuted
That was
everyone for the
great.
applause. So let people. I know.
Yeah, that was.
There we go.
Thank you.
I do like support on this group here. We've been at this for a while. Do you want to do one more?
Yeah, I'll do a later one. Let me just find it.
Give me a second. Let me just mute everyone and unmute you again. There we go.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try to find. Give me 1 second. There's one I'd like to read that's lighter. That I think we might all need. It might take me 1 second to find it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this one was on day 42 of shelter in place. And it's about my dad. When I was a child, my father had box seats at Fenway Park. We went to see the Red Sox countless times. We heard the roar of the crowd together. We fought the same crowd for the foul ball together. We ate hot dogs and popcorn together. He brought me to the men's bathroom when I needed to pee and to keep me safe. I remember my shoes sticking to the floor with each tiny step. He held my hand when we weaved in and out of bodies. He held it tighter when the flood of drunken, disorderly sports fans spilled out into the streets to celebrate the win. The walk back to the car was always longer, and he would carry me. And when I inevitably became too heavy, he wouldn't put me down. Instead, he'd upgrade me to a piggyback ride. My father smelled of sweat and beer and Old Spice, smelled like safety. I would bury my head and breathe deep into the nest created in the nook between his shoulder and neck. The journey from Fenway to the car was long but worth it. There was silence in the hustle of the city when I clung to my father. A quiet created in the bond between father and daughter, and upon the arrival to the car, our feet and legs wept sweetly for relief. And on one such occasion, we learned that our Volvo station wagon, Oscar, had been boxed in on all sides. There was no getting out of this very secret parking space my father had discovered earlier with much enthusiasm. I recall the mounting panic in my chest, the welling fear in my eyes. But because my father knew his daughter and all of her quirks, he acted fast. He busied himself creating a nest of blankets in the way back of the car. He knew something I did not know at my young single-digit age. The roustabouts had hurried themselves to continue their celebration at the local bars. They would likely stumble their way back to their own vehicles as the establishments closed for the night, but that wouldn't be for many hours. So my father made me a bed on the folded down seats, and we listened to music and talked about our time at Fenway, and the car smelled like safety. And I drifted off to sleep, barely rousing when the belligerent strangers returned to their surrounding cars. I shifted slightly when my father turned the key in the ignition and shifted into drive and rolled Oscar slowly out of our temporary holding. And he drove us home into the night. All in a day, my father demonstrated my worth, the importance of my safety. And as I lay curled up and cozy, I dreamt of next time. Thanks, guys. Oh, hey, baby.
Hi.
Thank you, Susanna. That was great. And I see Jeffrey Fallon is here. Jeffrey, I see you and I are both go to the same non-existent barber.
Yes, that's true.
Did you want to participate in this open mic, or are you just here as a listener?
Oh, I'm just listening. Thank you.
You're welcome. And catch his comic, The Secrets of Skinny People, at Oddball Magazine every Monday at 1 p.m.
Thank you very much.
Advertisement gold, but
I don't know where I went. But
good to see your face and to hear your voice, Jeffrey. And we're going to go to who will hopefully be the last person on the open mic. She has been waiting patiently, but we've been having mic difficulties. So let's see if Lee Varon is, if we're able to hear her. Lee, are you there? Can you say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
we hear you. Yes, you are here finally.
Happy birthday, Chad.
Well, I'm very glad you're here to finish us off tonight. We've had at least 10 penultimate closing acts. You're the latest, and then we can go home. I mean, then we can go, I guess, turn our heads from a computer or something like that.
All right.
For those who don't know, Lee Varon has at least I think the author of 4 books now, 4 collections. She published 2 books. She published 2 of the books. Yes.
I wish, Chad.
2 of the books you published, I think, just last year or 2 years ago.
Yes.
And she has been a frequent contributor to a number of journals and magazines, and a fiction writer as well as poet. She has been a contributor to many open mics around the Boston area. Lee, you are on.
Yes, thank you, Chad. So this is a COVID poem. The business of wills and coffins is doing well. In the darkness, you ask strange questions. Will I ever write another love letter? Some are always walking through the doors of prayer, not you. Yet, like the Pope, you visited people in prison. When your heart was broken, you prayed to the God of surprises. That's it.
No. No.
Do you have one more on your? Do you have one more under your belt?
No, not really.
Books and that's it. Come on. Okay.
That's it.
What book is that from?
It's not from a book. That's just a recent COVID. I'm writing a bunch of COVID poems, like I guess a lot of us are.
I think all of us are, and a lot of the people who are here on this. I think at least 1 or 2 people on this call have donated stuff to Oddball Magazine, or are planning to. If you're interested, oddballmagazine.com. Every 2 weeks now, or every other week, we are publishing COVID pandemic poetry and literature. We just published our first flash fiction inspired by the pandemic, called Mask of the Red State Death, on Tuesday, and we need more stuff. Some of the stuff we've gotten I wasn't too thrilled about. Other stuff we are very thrilled about, but we need more because this ain't going away anytime soon, and I want everyone's voice and accounts to be represented. It's funny, my college, Framingham State College, my alma mater, actually have this project now. They're asking for alumni to share their thoughts, words, recordings, to try and document this event live as much as they can. And I want Oddball Magazine to work in that same respect. Our columnists have been doing a bang-up job. The poets have, the artists, the pandemic-inspired art we've been getting from Jennifer Matthews, Bob Brock, Bill Wallach, and a host of others have been just amazing, and I hope we get more of that. So if you're interested, just go visit oddballmagazine.com. There's a submittable page. We asked that it hasn't been published before, but that's just so it's more of a surprise for everybody, and people have an incentive to read it. And if this might be your first publication credit with Oddball Magazine, this might be your first publication credit ever. I don't care. We want that, and we want you to share your work. And with that, I think that's all we have for announcements. I'm hoping in the next week or so, we announce our first feature. We did have James Van Looy scheduled for the 27th to do a performance. And I'm hoping we can do that remotely, because I'm not comfortable with bringing anyone back together in for a gathering, especially since a lot of our members are very immunocompromised, including Carol Weston, who is on the phone actually recovering from an injury, and she's been attending every open mic since the 49th anniversary celebration a couple of weeks back. So we're glad she could join us. And we hope that when we incorporate the features, we're actually able to bring back some people who are out of state and even out of country, who haven't been to Snow Soup in decades, or close to a decade at least, and that we can bring them on and have some amazing reunions while the month is still lasting and while the pandemic is still lasting. So with that, I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight.
Can I throw in
Good night.
What were you gonna say? What were you gonna say, Cece?
I don't know. I'm not used to coming to these things, so I don't know what the protocol is or if it's out of order. But there is some good news that I heard today for someone who's critical of everything that's going on and questioning everything that's ever happened for the last 2, 3, 4 decades. There's a guy named Dr. Buttar. Has anyone ever heard of him? Are you following this guy? He's a very prominent doctor.
What is he saying?
Got to ask Dr. BUTTAR.com. There's a petition at the White House thing. I think that's where it's going, but he's got this thing going where he's trying to get 100,000 to 1 million signatures. He's bringing together in North Carolina. He's the doctor that went up against the medical profession, and he's fighting the fight. He's one of the most profound activist voices that I've seen out there, except for the MIT guy that's running for senator. And he's fighting the fight too, trying to get the doctors from being squashed. They're being edited, bumped off, and silenced by YouTube and Facebook, and they're fighting back big time. So his name is Buttar. If you Google that, you might dig into a rabbit hole that you won't want to come out of, because it's not fear-based; it's the opposite.
Well, thank you, Cece.
Thank you.
With that, I'll just remind everyone, if you haven't joined it yet, Stone Soup Poetry has a Facebook page. They have I have a newsletter that comes out, and I'll be announcing the next Stone Soup reading. Regardless of whether we have our first online feature next week, it will take place every Wednesday moving forward from 7 to 9 via Zoom link. The Zoom link has to change all the time. I can't make it consistent for whatever reason, but the password will always be Stone Soup, and you can get the password info and everything on the Stone Soup Facebook page or on stonesoup.blogspot.com. And I want to thank all the returning friends and new faces to tonight's reading. We'll, again, hope to see you next week promptly at 7. And the best will be coming. This can be like this every week, guys. All we need is you. Have yourself a very good evening.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Chad.